I remember being 7 years old, and when I was 7, my family lived in Arizona, and we actually lived in a duplex, and so I was good friends with my neighbor's son. And he and I would hang out quite a bit, but on one occasion he wasn't able to get together with me, so I was hanging out with some of his friends. Really, for me, they were like acquaintances, I would call them. And I was performing for their amusement some hillbilly science, which in most cases means making moonshine, but for a 7-year-old it's a little bit different. And so I had a swing set in my backyard, but I also had 3 tools for this experiment, and they were as follows. Number 1, I had a 5-pound weight, like the kind that you put on the end of a barbell. Number 2, I had a rope, and I took the rope and I put it through that hole in the barbell weight, and I tied a knot so that it would kind of hang like a pendulum. And then I took the rope and I put it over the horizontal bar of the swing set, and I pulled it up and I tied the other end to one of the swing set legs. And then I took my third item, which was a Folgers coffee can, and I flipped it upside down and I put it beneath the weight, because my goal was to let the weight go and to crush the can. What a great idea. No, it was not a great idea. But before I could release the weight, I realized as I was adjusting the can that that weight had fallen on its own. And then one of the friends of my friend, he said, "We've got to go," and he was kind of panicked, and they ran off. And I realized that something had happened. On its way down to the ground, that weight made a pit stop and it had hit my head. And so I put my hand up to my head and I realized I was bleeding, and I had to go to the ER and I got stitches. Thank goodness everything was fine. It was fine. Sorry, sometimes I do that. Ever since the accident, I haven't been the same. But the point is, I learned a good lesson that day. It's a lesson that we've all probably learned at least once or twice in our lives. And that lesson is that sometimes people behave one way under a certain set of circumstances, and then they change their behavior as those circumstances are altered.